Good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to welcome you to tonight's edition of Yes You with Friends. This is your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman, and I'm here with my friend, Rhonda Royal. Yes, this is Iron Sharpens Iron, y'all. This is my iron that's in here with me. I appreciate. Come on, Rhonda, holler at the people.
Hello, hello. How's everybody?
Yes, you're gonna miss Jonna tonight. She had a birthday with one of her little ones who is now 12 years old, and I'm just like trying to wrap my brain around that because I'm like, I remember when that baby was just like still a baby, and you just blink your eye, and she's 12. And mother needed a little downtime tonight, and that's the way we roll around here. We believe in people first.
Yes.
So we hope that she's resting, and we love you, Jonna. Get you some rest on and come back and we'll be ready for your next go round. In the meantime, I want to say good afternoon, and I should really say good evening, and evening. Anita Harvey, I see you out there. Good evening. Mel Holiday, I am so glad that you are with us this evening. Good evening. Deborah Gibbs, that's my girl. She said, hey, everybody. Hey,
Hey, Deborah.
everybody. I am
Right.
so glad to see you, Debbie. And then Sheila Miles, thank you for being. You like my dude, Debbie? Sheila, I'm glad to see you out there. And to everybody else that's not in the chat, but you are listening and monitoring, I'm glad to have you on this fine day. Thank you for liking the dude, Deb. I did it myself, girl. I did it myself. I got the raises and I said, yeah. Monica. What you laughing at, Rhonda?
Girl, you and your sound effects.
Listen, I miss them when I don't have them.
Yeah.
Monica, it's good to see you, Monica L. Smith, and thank you for the biddies. And Chris King G, girl, you my girl, you know it. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. And Tyrone is here in the midst. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Well, while you're here, tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Not much. Well, nothing outside of the norm. It's been a pretty normal week. Tim had a tennis tournament this weekend, so a lot of running back and forth. I'm literally just getting back to the house.
Oh,
He's
did he
like he's
win?
like he won singles for his division, but he's playing doubles now, so
Okay.
he's still out there.
Oh,
Um, but nothing strange out of the normal. This is spring break for Texas, so everything is opened up and everybody's here having a good time, and no one's
awesome.
social distancing or wearing masks, and the brunch spots are off the chain, and people out there living their best life. So I'm looking forward to seeing what next week is going to look like. As far as like what COVID's looking like, and with
Oh,
everything that's
wow.
opened up here.
Good, 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 good. Well, I want to give it up for Tim. And now, is he playing doubles with Kendall? Or did he?
No, Kendall's there. He's playing doubles with his friend Patrick, but Kendall
Oh,
is there like
okay.
coaching. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, here is for Timothy Ray and winning singles down there in Texas. That brother is doing it up. I'm just saying. I mean, he has been on the tennis circuit now how many years? But I mean, he's cleaning up.
Yeah.
That boy's playing.
We actually go to Phoenix next month, the 8th, because he's going to national. So each state picks 3 people to represent the entire state. So he's one of the 3 people going to nationals to represent the state of Texas.
Ooh,
Good
y'all better give
deal.
it up for Tim. Come on, give it up for Tim. I love it. Did I see the wave? Did I see the? Oh, yes, Tim. That's my guy. I love it. I love it. He does everything with excellence. That's just the way he rolls. So I'm just so happy for him. And for everybody that doesn't know, that is BTD's child. That's what the T is for. BTD mom. The T is for Tim. So yeah, you might as well go on and get your love on for your son. He's doing a great, great, great job. And there you go. Look at all them hand claps from BTD mom. One more time. Yes, congrats to Tim. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, Rhonda Royal, what's going on in your world today?
Girl, a little this, a little that. Now, hopefully, you don't ever hear me say the word normal because I do not want to ever say normal because nothing
Uh-huh.
will ever be normal. We need to come up with a new word, y'all. I
Come
don't know
on.
what we're going to use, but there will never be a normal.
Correct.
I don't even want to use abnormal because that means something dysfunctional, but it's not going to be dysfunctional. But we don't want
Yes.
to use the word normal because we're never going back to normalcy.
Come on.
But however, it's been a good week. I did get my second shot.
Woo!
Oh, okay.
I
Yes.
am fully vaccinated,
Awesome.
and I feel comfortable. I feel good in my shondo. I feel good.
Down in your shadow.
In my
Yeah.
shondo. I do. And again, I had absolutely no side effects. None.
Good. That's good.
Now, I did have the Pfizer.
Pfizer. Mhm.
Most of the people I'm hearing with the soreness of the arm is the Moderna.
That's the one I had. Yeah.
Yeah, the soreness in the arm is about a day or two, and then the second one I think is almost the same. You might even have some cold-like symptoms or flu-like symptoms, but that's your body reacting and fighting off anything. So there's
Mhm.
nothing to worry about. But I had absolutely no side effects, the first one
Awesome.
or the second one.
That is awesome.
The guy with the pharmacy, the owner pharmacy, did come out Tuesday and gave Kenneth his first shot. They came out to the
Good.
house.
Oh, good.
We'll be back in 3 weeks to give him his second shot. So he too has not had any side effects. And so we're doing well. My whole family is almost vaccinated.
Listen, she gets house calls from the owner of the pharmacy. Now, what can we say? What can
Right.
we say?
Girl. And look,
And
gotta
then
do it.
good seafood.
Come on. Did you see how that seafood had our mouths just watering?
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah,
felt like
shit.
Pavlov's dogs just salivating, just looking at the pictures. I said, now what
Look.
kind of friend is that? Just gonna put it out there and have me out there just
Girl, look, I
starving.
got you. I'm waiting on y'all. Remember, y'all said y'all were coming, Tyrone.
You're right.
Listen,
You're right.
we're coming. We are
Deb,
coming.
Deb is coming. Deb, I got you, sweetie. I've got
Yes.
you. Come on.
Yes, we're coming. We're gonna look that place up and get some more of that. Michelle
look
Brown,
good.
it looked delicious. Michelle Brown, I want to say good evening to you. Teresa Jones, I want to say good evening to you. Deborah, you had your second Pfizer and you did have a sore arm, but that was all you had. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Good.
And me too, is you want to get some of that seafood as well. King Coogee. Sire is in the house. It's so good to have you here with us, King Coogee. Thank you for stopping in. We just love you, man. Yes, Debbie. Yes, we want some of that good food. Absolutely. So we'll be headed that way to have some fellowship with Rhonda down there in the Ark. Now, today I'm gonna touch on a couple of things, but I want to start because I have to come here based on our last conversation. Now, let me say this. I saw. I just want to throw this out here. Now, last week we touched on the verbal confrontation that Kirk had with his child.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we don't know what happened. So I'm not trying to make any allegations here whatsoever in error. I do want to reflect back on the point of what I was saying. It's that kind of verbal confrontation with our children that can set them up to be future. Now y'all didn't like my fingering and fondling, but that's what I said. Future victims of molestation and abuse. Now y'all remember me saying that, and y'all was popping pearls because I said fingering and fondling, and the Saints was about to fall out. But that's still, at the end of the day, let's say molestation and abuse. Well, as things would turn as the week has gone on, unfortunately, the allegation did eventually get put out there by the son, who didn't know it was coming out. Somebody had recorded it in secret and put it out and made the direct allegation that Kirk is his molester. Now, this is where I want to go with this. So we don't know. Mama came out with the interview, which was weird. If anybody saw that interview was weird. And then at the end of the day, this is where I want to come. Now, if in fact, and this is another angle of where we feel verbal abuse is or is not. If in fact that child was molested by his father, if in fact you missed all that, Michelle, oh, it's out there, baby. It's out there.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Rhonda?
I did.
Tyrone, did you not see all of that?
I saw the interview with the mom, more parts of it, but I didn't see about this part. No.
Yes. They have somebody got the baby upset, and I almost felt like it was a attempted entrapment. And anyway, at the end of the day, he ended up saying he called his father a molester, his molester. So at the end of the day, this is where I'm coming from with that, because as I said, I'm still coming from the side of this type of behavior is what sets our children up to become victims. Which, if it's true, and I'm not saying it is, because as the mom said, we haven't filed police reports, we haven't done investigation, we haven't done any of that. So, we're still letting that kind of flap out there in the wind. You missed that too, SK8843. Oh, it's been drama, mother. It's been drama. So, if that's the case, this is all I want to ask. If in fact, and I'm going back to this verbal assault, I feel like it was verbal assault. If this child was molested, and I'm just saying, let's play the devil's advocate of if. Do we see that this kind of the first rant, if I'm a victim, the first rant, take all the cuss words out, the first rant is still abusive. And then by the time you get, and I'm gonna y'all listen to what the rest of what I'm saying, and I'm gonna turn y'all loose. Then you take Ricky Smiley, you get who was the other one, that Steve Harvey, Monique, and everybody else that chimed in to use their bully pulpit. If this child was actually abused and molested, do y'all not see that as heightening on this child? I mean, we're just talking about adding insult on insult and salt to an open wound, because now you have a child that, should he have actually been molested as he said, then now you've got all of these people with major platforms that have come out and basically called him crazy, called him said that it was okay for them to say whatever they said, and so on and so forth. Y'all feel like that's still cool? I mean, talk to me. And that's we're gonna just touch on this real quickly, because this is where I'm trying to stay. But after we talked about it so long last week, and all the drama that came on all this week, it's like every day it was another piece. Do y'all see that as abuse?
No. And I don't see it as abuse, because I feel those celebrities who've used their platforms to speak out on it, they've heard what we've heard. We didn't hear the whole conversation. We didn't hear the whole phone call. All we heard was an exchange between a father and a son. So those celebrities have used their platforms to pretty much make a joke out of it and saying, Kirk Franklin, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he's a father. He's an adult. He's human. And if that's the exchange that he had with his child, that's the exchange he had with his child, which most of us grew up with that exchange. I don't think anyone's made a comment to bully his son, because again, we only heard a certain portion of the conversation. Now, the entire conversation, everything that came after that is a totally different topic. But people have commented.
Let me just clarify, because bully pulpit doesn't mean that they're bullying him. A bully pulpit just means that you have a big figure in a big space, that when you speak, people listen to what you say, and they take what you say, and give it very heavy credence. They give it. So bully pulpit isn't like we say bully. It's just basically saying you have this huge platform, and you're using this huge platform to make a statement, and with the influence that many people are going to believe your statement. So I just want to clarify, I don't think any of them are trying to bully him, but the bully pulpit concept is you got a huge platform, and that platform is then having a tremendous impact and influence on people's thinking.
Like I said, I think from what we heard in the small port, we didn't hear the whole conversation, and people are speaking basically off of what they heard. Clearly, there's something else going on there, a bigger conversation, but I think people are only making comments off of what they heard. And from what we heard, I would even say, because I only from that small part of the conversation I heard, I don't think Kirk Franklin should have apologized. Again, because I don't know the whole story.
Right. But all I'm doing is saying, let's pretend Let's
Okay.
pretend, because we don't know. And I'm not by any means, these are all allegations. Nothing's been investigated or substantiated. Let's pretend that this child was actually, because I mean, now, as a person of that has had molestation as an issue, I can definitely say, and I don't have a problem with saying that on the broadcast, because there are a lot of people out there, they need to talk, they need that voice. So for victims, a lot of times that silence is what allows them to continue to be violated. So if you come out at that point, and the behavior, the acting out that we keep talking about, and the acting out that we keep saying is we had a personal private matter. Well, if the personal private matter was that you were molesting your child, that's a big that's a lot.
That is.
But remember that too is an allegation.
Oh yeah. I'm saying allegations. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying this is all I'm trying to get to. If this child is telling the truth, do we not feel like this whole scenario has been devastating and a disservice to that child?
Correct. With the information we have now, and if it's the truth, because it's still an allegation at 32 years old, I mean, one would have to ask now, what's the goal? He's not like a 12-year-old kid and something just slipped out. You leaked this conversation you had with your father. Well, put this conversation out that you had with your father. Well, yeah, on purpose to get some type of reaction. I mean, did you want people to know that your father's not as holy as he is? And now you want to bring out this molester, and not saying everybody heals different, but it is a question of what's the end goal at this point.
Okay, I hear you. Come on, Rhonda. Let me hear what you're saying.
I don't know. I've been playing it because I don't like all of this with the allegation and what if and this and if that if, because that's just too much for me. If so, I don't like to comment on a lot of things that I don't know specifics about. However, we're not in that same circle, so all we're receiving is just a little tidbits that we're hearing now. Now, you might say Ricky Smiley, you might say Steve Harvey, them may have known something prior to this because of all that's gone on in that circle. Because from what their understanding is, he has had several issues before.
Mm-hmm.
His mother and his father have been working with him for years on several issues. And so
but we don't know if molestation wasn't one of the issues.
No, but still there's several issues. So now all of a sudden this is leaked out. So we don't know what was said before, what was said prior to. And people react in different ways. You know, I had this conversation earlier. People react in different ways, and you never could say. Some people say, "Well, it should have come out sooner." Well, people, you never know. Sometimes it don't come out till they're grown. You just don't know. Here we go again. If we don't know. Yes, all of that can trigger and can hurt somebody if that's the case. But we don't know. So we're sitting here making assumptions again, allegations again, because we just don't know. Every incident is different. What you went through, what he went through, what what's that girl one that they just said Monique went through, everything was different. So we really don't know what is causing him to act out this time.
Okay, and I'm not making allegations. I'm bringing up the topic because I see it from a different standpoint, and I see it from a different. My vantage point is completely different. And yes, there are a lot, if not a good majority, particularly in the Black community, where people have been molested and violated, and they may not say anything about till 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. So you can't do it if they didn't say it before. Why is it just coming out now? Because there is a lot that goes into divulging, and sometimes even for the individual to address, I've been molested. Even though you can know you were molested, but it's still a totally different thing between knowing that you've been molested and then actually dealing with that molestation. So I think the idea that, oh man, if they were really molested, they would have said something. Most people that have been molested, no more times than not, have been chosen and selected because they're the type of people that are not going to say anything, and their perpetrators already know that. Their violators already know they're not going to say anything, and will intimidate them to the extent of making them fearful that if I say something, then something drastic is going to happen to me, somebody I love, whatever the case may be. And so they remain silent. That is not uncommon. So I think that we have to kind of back away from, I'm not trying to make the allegations true or false. All I'm saying is, from my vantage point, I can totally see the position of the son. And while I'm not trying to say this did or did not happen, what I do sense and feel in my Shondo is, if by some chance this baby is telling the truth, he has been abused again by everybody else. 41 before you said a word raises your hand. The why now was just as troubling as the actual act. And I agree. I hear you, Jonathan. And I think that for victors, because we're not victims, we're victors because we overcome. But then when you got to overcome all of these bully pulpits, you got to overcome all these people's doubt, you have to overcome all of these other things. If it's true, that's all I'm saying, that becomes extension of abuse. And I think somehow or another, in my opinion, now y'all can let me know in the chat out there, give me 1 if you think it's an extension of abuse, give me 2 if you think it is not. Because at the end of the day, all I'm saying, with no accusation against Kurt at all, I'm trying to acknowledge and address for people that are victors of molestation, that to have to turn around and deal with everybody's bully pulpit and people saying what they say. And this is a piece I think that I just want to use this to highlight. And again, this may not be the case. Can we be clear on that? I'm not saying this is the case, but I think we also have to be truthful to the fact of, if it is the case, then the use of all of these people coming out to make this boy sound like he's crazy, like he's got mental issues and is compounding to the abuse. And I don't think people pay attention to that, which is why I'm trying to draw attention to it in our conversation tonight. I think SK said earlier on, and I see your one, and I'm in total agreement. For those that really don't know and we can't help them heal, the best thing is to just chill on it, because we don't know. But at the end of the day, when you have people that don't know and are making very definite statements and coming out and making comments, and even without the comments, I'm gonna still go back to Tyrone. I'm gonna challenge you a little bit on this. My parents didn't cuss me out. I don't know nothing about being cussed out by my parents. So now other people have that experience. For me and my house and for my family extended, I'm saying cousins and stuff, we didn't grow up with parents cussing us. So I don't have a point of reference to that. So at the end of the day, I think that and even for you didn't either, Deb. I see you. I don't have a point of reference. I don't have a point of reference to, yes, we got spankings and stuff like that. But as far as saying I was, and hear me when I say, because we've got different vantage points, to me, that's abuse. To me, that's abuse. So, you didn't either, Michelle. So it's kind of like when you are talking about it, we're still talking, it seems like apples and oranges, but to me it's really not, because I do have a sense of feeling that this child, regardless, no cuss words used, this child is a child. And to have your parents say very, very hurtful things to you in an angry manner like that, I don't advocate that. I think it's abuse. I think it's violence. And then I think when everybody else chimes in, and at the end of the day, because Kirk squarely, if y'all heard his apology, he squarely put the responsibility and onus on the child. He didn't take any, which I have a problem with that. He didn't take any accountability for his actions whatsoever. That's my son. That's my son. That's my son. So that hear me when I say that kind of talk to me is almost like we've recreated the idea that these folks are just animals. That's my son. That's my child. I can do whatever I want to do to my child. That's my child. No, you cannot. He's a human being and he has feelings and he has emotions. And so I take issue with that. And I really am frightened that, to me, that's the mentality in the Black community that seems to be emerging. And I just think it's frightening.
Well, I grew up in a household where I'm not going to say my mother cursed me out, but she had her words with us and they weren't always the nicest. But I mean, I don't feel we were abused either. We were loved. We knew she loved us. Well, she loves us. We were supported. We were all that. But if we worked her nerves, she may have used a word or two that probably shouldn't be on the podcast. But I wouldn't say, I think it's abuse when your intent is to cause harm. So like when you're viciously cursing your child out, degrading your child, that to me is abuse. And again, from what I heard on the phone call, because yes, if he may mentally still be at a child's age when trauma happened in his life. Allegedly, there was some situations going on, and he is still a child until he's healed. But I also feel that there's a bigger story to their scenario and their situation that we don't know. And I also feel at this point, yes, that's a child and father, but they're also two grown men as well. And I feel there's some built up.
Separate from. I'm using that as a segue to have the conversation because it has manifested in our community. But I'm not necessarily talking about Kurt and Kerrion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a scenario where potentially just take them completely out of it. And King Kuji, I got you. It ain't nobody business to talk about. I see where you are there. At the end of the day, if you take that, because I'm trying to deal with the community issue that I perceive to be a community issue, how we treat our children and the interaction between parents and children and what's appropriate and what is not healthy. Maybe healthy is better than appropriate. What's healthy and what's not healthy. So take a child. Let's totally get rid of Kurt, get rid of Kerrion. Mm-hmm. Take a child that's been abused and molested by a parent. That parent cusses them out vehemently, and then you have a whole lot. And I can take this from a standpoint of, let's say, children whose parents pastor. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to use that because I cannot tell you. I said we actually need a preacher's kid. We call it PK unit because preacher's kids are some of the most abused kids anywhere. And that's why a lot of them won't come back to church because we've been abused, whether it's by our parents or by other people or whatever the case may be. And so, but the idea is that you have people that are in the spotlight all the time. So that spotlight beaming has impact as well. And it determines what you'll say and what you won't say. It determines what you expose and what you don't expose because it goes beyond just you. It goes to your family and beyond, to the church, to the ministry. I mean, it has so many tentacles. So when you get done with that and you take this child that has been abused by whomever, and then when that child comes out and says something and you have the Black community say, well, child, because at the end of the day, sometimes to get it off your chest and get it out, it may not be the healthiest way that you come about it. But at that point, you're just trying to survive and live. So whatever way you can get it out, just get it out. So then you have people come at you and say, well, that was the wrong way to get it out. And I'm going to come here. That's like Black people when white folks tell us after they have abused us all this time and misuse us and oppressed us, don't raise your voice and don't do this and don't use other words. But you hit me first. You violated me first. And now that you violated me and did it over and over and over and over again, and when I finally explode, then you tell me my explosion was the wrong explosion. And so now I'm violated again by the people that I would have hoped would have given me some love and support to be able to work through the fact that I've been abused and violated. And that same community that I'm looking to is now accusing me and saying this and that and the other. And this is the only thing I'll say, King Coogee, as far as like everybody, if it ain't your business, there are kids that are trapped in situations. And because we've done this, if it ain't, what happens in this house stays in this house and y'all don't talk about it and it ain't nobody's business. There are people that are suffering tremendously because the village is like, it ain't our business.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think there's a problem with that. And I think we have set ourselves up to have a whole generation and generations of children that are going to be marred and scarred. And I just think we need to look at that. If a person has been abused by somebody and that person, let me just, I'll put myself in that spot. This isn't my scenario, but I release my information in hopes that people will hear my cry, because the boy been crying a long time. He been crying for help a long time. So take the person that's been crying a long time. I'm trying to find some kind of outlet. I'm trying to find some way to speak my truth. And then when I finally get it out there, albeit it may be the wrong way to get it out there, then everybody jumps against me and is like, I didn't put it out there the right way. And I think anybody that's ever been in an abuse situation, I can raise both hands. Anybody that's ever been in an abuse situation, to break loose of that abuse, sometimes you got to use, as Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. And it may not be the most appropriate means to break free. You just got to get free. But then if you get free and everybody judges you for the way that you got free and or disbelieves that anything was going on in your house, in your life, in your situation, that's trauma and abuse on top of the trauma that you came out of. In my opinion.
But then we also have to look at, I think culturally we've come to a place where a person has to be, proven guilty before we're just going to agree. Now I can understand a young child coming forward saying, this has happened to me, because that's probably taking a whole lot of courage, because this is a child who is dependent on these people, especially when it's parents, for their survival. I think now in this day and time, yes, we will want to be in a place where we, anybody who comes with any type of abuse, anything that's happened to them.
Tyrone, next to trying to get the whether or not it's, I said, let's play devil's advocate. The child was abused. I'm not saying we're not trying to look at and say whether or not Kirk abused that boy. That's not what I'm talking. I'm saying look at a situation, put all the dynamics to it of what we've seen, but make it a reality in what I'm saying, that the child was in fact abused. Do you not feel, if this child was actually abused, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it's not a question of whether the child is making up something to try and get attention or because they're acting. I'm talking about a child is genuinely being abused by the parent. And then put all of this in motion like we've seen. Take Kerrion and Kirk out of it. Just make it a if and then kind of scenario. Do you not think that people with bully pulpits and other people in the community that disbelieve the child and allege the child is just doing something for attention or whatever the case may be, do you not see that, and has been obviously verbally assaulted by the parent at the point of when the parent might be exposed? And understand, when people are fearful of being exposed, abusers, when they are fearful of being exposed, that's usually when they can become the most violent and the most deadly, because they don't want it out. These people are usually charmers. They're usually people that everybody likes. They're usually people that nobody would think this person XYZ. So you got all of this reputation. And then again, if I say, let's come from the PK side with preacher's kids, my mom and daddy's a pastor and a pastor's wife. Man, you talking about all kinds of stuff falling apart, but the child has actually been abused and the parent is abusing them in the home. Same scenario. You don't think that we need to back up and think about how we treat a potential victim, even if it hasn't been proven. But in this instance, but I'm saying use the scenario in your mind, child really has been abused. You don't see that as a problem?
That would be a problem if it's a situation where I know for sure this child has been abused, and then I still use my platform to discredit that person. That's a huge problem. I don't think anybody would take their platform in a situation. In my mind, no one would discredit a person that they know for sure has been abused. If somebody was to do that's wrong. I mean, you're victimizing the victim when you know yourself this person has been abused.
Okay. Do you agree, Rhonda, or not?
That they're allowing their pulpit to
Yes.
victimize someone? Yeah, of course it's wrong. But as you said, if we can take everything that we've talked about previous to this point, all that curtain, all that, let's take it out of the scenario. And let's just talk about real people that this is happening to, and not just for this. Think about let's think about a rapist. A lot of women don't come forward because they believe people are not going to believe them,
Absolutely.
and then people use their pulpit. I'm used to church, but they use their platform to try to discredit them. So it happens all the time.
Right.
So let's forget this point, but it happens all the time. And yes, it's wrong. It is wrong, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the whole story, but it's something personal.
Yes.
So it's the fact that it's even been discussed in social media is a problem. The sad part is that they don't feel like they have anyone that they can talk to, especially a parent.
Right.
Especially a parent, because you should be able to talk to your mother. You should be able to talk to your father. You should be able to talk to somebody and let them know what's going on in your life. So we're failing our kids if we're getting them to the point where they can't trust to talk to their parents.
It's not just kids either, because and the reason why maybe I'm hanging on to this a little bit longer, because I know situations. I had a pastor's wife that I dealt with on a regular because she was in an abusive and a rape situation with her husband, and he was the preacher and has one of the biggest churches in the city. And the other pastors know that he is doing what he's doing, and they're complicit. And they used their bully pulpit to shut her down and sit her down. And then he divorced her, got another woman, did the same thing. But at the end of the day, she's over here to the side, cast away and beat up and traumatized. But I'm talking about black folks. I ain't talking about nobody else's community. I'm talking about black folks. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to take it out of the children's scenario and let's take it to an adult scenario. And so when she tried to tell members of the church what was going on in her home, and some people did know, they bullied her. Now, that instance, they did take advantage, and the pastors in the city started talking and ragging her to support his reason for why he needed to get a divorce from her, and he was abusing her. That's real. Mm-hmm. That's real stuff. And that's stuff that if y'all tell me, again, so when I listen and I look and I see the tears, the pains, the bruises, the beat up. I mean, we're talking about, I got to eat what they tell me to eat. I can only spend X amount of dollars, and that's rationed out to me, but I can't just go shopping. I mean, we're talking about just a straight up abuser.
Mm-hmm. But I feel culturally, we've created a culture where we doubt people. The same situation you were in and you were speaking of, the congregation, the supporters, the people, they doubted her due to who her husband was. And they made her feel a certain way, like her actions were invalid, or the actions that were brought upon her weren't happening. It probably made her feel she was bullied because she's the wife of a pastor, who he is, this, that, and the other. On the flip side of that, why I say culturally, if a man comes up and says, my wife is abusing me, how many people are going to look at that man and say, your wife can't be abusing you? Why? Because he's a man. And they're going to discredit him. They're going to doubt him and make him feel like he's making it up. Or I mean, it's just the culture that we've created on both sides.
I agree. And I've seen abused men. And so I'm not going to be
I have
like,
too.
no, he ain't. Because I've seen some men that are just straight up pure D abuse.
Toe up.
Not
Yeah.
because they don't have the physical power to outpower the other person, but that's just not the choice that they choose to make. But they are straight up abused.
Well, there's a
you-
lot of types of abuse because there's the verbal, the physical. There's all type of abuse.
Emotional.
Emotional abuse. So there's all types of
and
abuse.
so at the point that we start listening to people's words and what they say and how they use them, and there's some people, that's why I say take cussing off the table, because some folks ain't gonna cuss you out, but they cut you down to the ground and ain't said one cuss word.
Not one.
So how we've gotten so caught up in what is abuse, we need to go back and revisit and define accurately what abuse is, because it's a whole lot of abuse going on in the Black community. And somehow we've been, whether it was from slavery in the fields, then we got it in the church, we brought it in the home, we got abuse everywhere to where we just won't acknowledge we're being abused.
Gary, we about to go back to Al Green. Somebody better start cooking some grits. Some hot grits, girl.
I'm gonna tell you what, I really am shocked, stunned, and amazed that we don't even agree on basic elements of what abuse is. Verbal abuse is still abuse.
It is several kinds. Yes.
And
Verbal abuse can be worse
than
than
children.
Right.
Yeah,
Verbal abuse can be worse than physical abuse. Sometimes you just hit me and get it over with.
please,
Right.
please.
Well, no, look,
'Cause
I ain't
I
saying
can-
that, but yeah.
No, but I'm
Don't get
saying
it
because
twisted.
you can heal from a bruise, but what someone can verbally say to you can destroy you for the rest of your life.
And they try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
And if you let them,
Yeah.
it'll mess you up.
So are we desensitized? Are we desensitized?
After a while,
Yeah.
because you can beat someone down too, to where they start to believe what you're saying. Because you can be a strong, and I'm just saying woman because it happened to men too, but you can
It
be
does.
a strong woman, and if they continue to do it over a period of time, they can beat you down to where you begin to feel that you're not what you thought you were at the beginning.
Yeah,
So over time, you can be beaten down.
that's true. That is absolutely true.
'Cause
And
they-
But yeah, Debbie's cracking up. You got Debbie cracking up. But I mean, what you're saying is true, though. As comical as it may be, it's the truth. And I guess at the end of the day, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse, because everybody has a different opinion. And again, I'm trying to, because it happened in the community, I'm not necessarily trying to talk about them per se. I'm trying to talk about the idea in a broader sense that we need to have this conversation, that we are abusing each other. So straight up, at the end of the day, we're abusing each other. Some of this stuff that we're saying is not abuse. We're abusing each other.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop. So wow.
It continues through generations.
But you gotta see it first. You gotta see it as a problem. You gotta first admit that you have a problem.
yeah, you got to want to see it too.
True.
Right.
Because
True.
a lot of this stuff that's taking place, don't tell me some of them people are not seeing that this is happening with their children. If you know your children, you know that there's a change in your child.
Well, and I agree with you. And I think, it depends, because I will say there are some parents that are so out of touch with their children, they have no idea about their children's feelings and emotions. And that's where I'm going to get into a place where, as we came into more materialistic goods, we started paying and giving and this and that and the other to our kids, but we didn't give the kids ourselves. So there are a lot of kids out there, and I'm looking at a generation that came behind me, some beautiful, beautiful kids, but they basically raised themselves because their mom and daddy wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Still happening.
Yeah. And I'm talking about with the mom and daddy in the home, but they wasn't there.
Right.
They were physically in the house, but they were not there. So,
Or everybody that come into the house is a different uncle.
Listen, and you're right about that. You're right about that. Tyrone.
Oh, hey, I'm the generation after you, and we raised ourselves. Parents were in the home, but I mean, the goal at that point in time was they had made it a little bit. They had to keep making it, so they were in the home, supported us. but I mean, we didn't get the emotional, the connection that, I mean, you guys probably got, you know, as the generations changed. And you see it now as like I maneuver. Like people like, Tyrone, you're so disconnected. I don't feel it. To me, I'm giving you all this emotion, but to others, it's like you're disconnected. And that's how we were raised. We hustled, and that was it.
So then how are we as a community? Because that's why I really wanted to open the conversation up with this, and we're going to move on. But how will we as a community heal that? Because if people feel like it's not a problem, and it in my opinion, it is a problem, then how are we going to correct that? Particularly if you're talking about a generation and more who have raised themselves, then how do you envision that we can approach this to really get people to understand your words have power? Obviously 45 didn't understand this. Your words have power. Your words impact not only for this moment, but even in the future. The man is gone and we still got racism and you know, all kinds of havoc behind his words that have power. And even though he's gone, and this is what I believe is going to happen with our children. Our words have power, and even after we're gone and we've moved on to the other levels, they are still going to be dealing with the monsters that we created with our words, not somebody else's words, our words.
I mean, I think first, people, like it was said earlier, people have to acknowledge that there's an issue. Like their patterns, their actions, their behaviors aren't good, and that it's going to continue. But I also feel we need to find a balance between the two. I personally feel having a mother that would cuss you out when she needed to kept me in line, but also having a mother that spoke positivity and motivated me and encouraged me to do things kept me in line as well. It's fine.
Cussing doesn't necessarily mean it's taking life out of you. Sometimes, you know, so some people are not going to understand what I'm saying right there. Every cussing is not taking life away from you. So let's take cussing off the table, because for a lot of religious minded people, even in the debates that I've heard this week, it always comes back to cussing. I'm like, listen, babies, y'all don't cuss, but y'all some of the meanest, nastiest people I ever met in my whole life. So you cuss me so I can feel better. So at the end of the day, that I want us to please don't get cussing and there is a difference between cussing and cursing. That's two different things. But anyway, listen, I mean, it is. There's a difference between cussing somebody and cursing somebody. And some of these folk are cursing everybody, their children and everybody else. So at the end of the day, I didn't mean to cut you off completely from your thought. I just want to distance cussing, because cussing does not necessarily mean that you're speaking death on your child.
Correct.
In my opinion.
So even with that, I would say we need to find a balance. I mean, in real life, no one's gonna, you know, not have a few harsh words with your child. I feel you have to be able to, you know, balance it out with being motivating them and being supportive, and the biggest thing is letting them know that you love them, that you're there for them, that whatever they need, you got it. So we have to find that balance, because we're living real life.
Yeah, and I think there's always going to be a level, you know, I'm sure there's some times when my mama and my daddy would have loved to have got their hands around my neck and squeeze real hard. But are they going to do it? No, you know, because at the end of the day, they understand restraint and boundaries and how to stop themselves. And, you know, I don't care how mad I was making them, they're not going to, you know, commit any kind of bodily harm on me that's going to take me up out of this world. Rhonda, do you have something? And I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on, because I just feel like we're an abusive people, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't take it.
Well, back to what we always say, it takes a village, and we're going to have to, I don't want to say go back to that, because I don't want to go back to anything, but we need to raise up and mentor each other and ourselves. And when we see something happening, we're going to have to step in and do something. But it takes a village. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to be committed to being a village.
Yeah. And so that being said, I'm going to move on, because I just want to touch it, because I'm troubled in my spirit when we see what appears to be abuse, what psychologists and psychiatrists would call abuse, and we say it's not abuse. That just troubles my spirit. That just troubles my spirit. And yes, Michelle said something. This is why she is in the medical profession. This is why, where is it at? Where did you said something about why now you guys have to ask? Okay, thank you. Is that it? Yes. When they come to the doctor for physical or shots, they have to ask them all the questions that they ask them about them being abused in the house, because many times that's the only place they can actually say it. Ain't that unfortunate? But that's the reality in which we live today. And even then, sometimes people are still scared to say, I'm abused at home.
Yeah, that's what happens in the home, stay in the home, and then they make you feel that way so that you don't talk about it outside.
And so I'm gonna keep talking about it, from different angles, different directions, but we gotta stop being desensitized to how we treat each other, because wrong behavior is just wrong behavior. Abusive behavior is just abusive behavior, and we can't call it something else when it's abuse.
Yeah.
So we'll keep talking, and hopefully we'll sensitize. And it's not always just the babies that raise themselves, but then if the babies raise themselves and then they're raising their children and they are clueless, then it's a domino effect. It's going to be a bad scenario on the outcome.
Yes.
Now, I want to go here because we are moving to a place where we're getting ready to own our own stuff. We've been talking about that, and we're about ready to get out of here. We got 10 minutes left. We're going to own our own stuff. Should I hold off on this till the next meeting?
You can go ahead and get it sparked.
Okay. So I'm gonna put you all in. Let me change my lineup here. What I want to do. Can I get us on the side? Because I want to share something. There is a situation that we're looking at in today's times whereby okay, I want to get everybody in here. Okay, so can y'all see that? Okay, Black CEO is battling for his company and reputation. Are successful Black founders being forced out of their businesses? And we can touch on this real quickly. So this is the guy, and the picture isn't as big as I want it to be, but this is the guy who actually has come up with facial recognition. His company came up with facial recognition. That's not what I want. And so at the end of the day, let me see if I can find it. I clicked out of that and I didn't mean to. Okay, there we go. At the end of the day, this brother raised $13 million. $13 million for his facial recognition program that he created in his company. So he needed VC, which is venture capital. Now, y'all know we ain't got venture capital, so he ended up with venture capital from White Brothers. Now, when the White Brothers wanted him to sell his stuff to the police department, to law enforcement, he refused to do that because all of the kinks were not worked out to where there would not potentially be an issue with profiling, because he wanted to make sure by the time he released it to law enforcement that it was clear and not going to unduly and unjustly show Black men and get them picked up with facial recognition because it was not fine-tuned the way he needed to get it. The people didn't want to wait. They wanted to get it out there. They wanted to get the money. Now, mind you, they're the funders. So basically what they did, Kairos was his company and is his company. He raised the $13 million and then needed the venture capital to really take it to the next level because he wanted to fine tune it so that people of color were not wrongly picked up and accused of things. Now, he gets accused by the venture capitalists. They wanted him gone when he refused to sell it to law enforcement. They wanted him gone. So then they said and filed a suit claiming that he was wrongfully misusing the funds and whatnot that had been given to him for venture capital and made a bunch of bogus claims against him to get him ousted, but wanted him to continue to work for the company for free because they're trying to say it was a misuse of their money. When the issue really was, he refused and did not agree, even with their pressure. Now, mind you, they got some money in the pot, but he got money in the pot too. He says, I'm not going to do it until Black people are not caught up in a bad way with this facial recognition. And I do think they went ahead and released it. But at the end of the day, he filed suit. One, because they were lying. And they brought him back as an advisor. Now, this is his company he created. This is his company that they wanted to take over. Lied on him. He was out of his own company for 3 years and had to go all the way through the legal system to sue them to come back as an advisor to his own company. And the issue that is now coming up, this is Black Enterprise. The issue that is now coming up is that they're saying this is not uncommon that successful entrepreneurs are being treated and squeezed out of their own corporations that they're building through means like this. Is not happening with others, and even others like Uber, where they actually went somewhere and somebody in their group actually raped somebody that they picked up, and the Uber folk, nothing happened to them. They started naming off all these different companies that are owned by white individuals where they actually have real wrongdoing and they have nothing happen to them, but Black companies who, number one, typically don't get any venture capital. We don't get financed. And then when we do, if we don't do what they want us to do, they find ways to squeeze us out of our own companies. Now, what do y'all think about that?
I mean, it's not good, but it's kind of been our history since the beginning of time. There's so many things that Black people have created that have been taken away from us. And we need to get to a point where we don't need the white man to support us.
And I think Rhonda, wrong shot. Rhonda SK said I need to read more about this practice. Yes, this, and I had heard about is it Kairos? I had heard about the facial recognition, had no idea it was a Black man's invention. Had no idea it was a Black man's company, and definitely had no idea that his venture capitalists basically strong-armed his board, put him out, lied on him, and he had to fight to get back and still was brought back as an advisor. So this is the new hurdle, but we're going to overcome it. This is the new hurdle. So I'm going to go back. Rhonda, I'm going to let you talk first, and I'm going to go back to something that Tyrone said, and we're going to get up out of here.
Girl, look, you don't want me to talk. You don't want me to talk because this is right down ridiculous. But it happens. Unfortunately, it happens. And like Tyrone said, I wish we just did not need their funding. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, if we were to raise up African-American banks or brown people's banks that we can count on, we got to be sure that we can count on each other as well. We can't get up to the top and start fighting each other. Mm-hmm. So, what are we going to do? It's going to be one or the other, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But we need to get to where we do not need that funding, because it happens all the time, more than we know.
Yes.
And they go behind the scenes, and just like they brought up all them false accusations about him to try to oust him out of his business.
Correct.
You see a lot of stuff going on where we got it going on now. Sexual harassments where they pay all these women to come forth and say all this stuff. It happens all the time.
Yes. Yes.
But we have got to get to where we do not need their funding.
There we have it. And that's where I really wanted to bring and highlight the point today, because as we're talking about coming into another level of ownership, if we get into a situation where we need VC and we need VCs to come in, or some kind of way we need to figure out if we need that little extra fund to get us over the top. Now, 13 million ain't nothing to be sneezed at. So if he raised all that by himself, I understand sometimes when you're talking about something that is innovative, and this is innovation in its finest. And they brought him back as an advisor because they couldn't get it to the next level because they don't know how to do it.
Of course. They need that Black creativity.
Right.
We're the most creative creatures on this earth, and they needed that.
So I am like, how in the world will we finally realize we need to be the venture capitalists?
Yes.
We need to be the venture capitalists. So
That's the only way we're gonna stop this from happening.
So what about all of our celebrities that have achieved now? And I love Oprah, and I'm not trying to throw no shade, but you know, have the school over in Africa, but we got folk over here that need some help if you're gonna put dollars out there. Now, I know some people feel like at the end of the day, everybody has a right to do with their money what they want to do. But I'm still saying, if we've got work to do here in the country, and if we've got work to do amongst ourselves, I do feel like Tyler is trying to make a difference. I used to ride a lot harder for Oprah, but I want to see I want to see something different. But we got all of these different athletes. I want to give kudos to LeBron James, who is number 5 as philanthropist to Black organizations and Black companies to help them. And I think the last thing he did, he sent like 11,000 kids that he's paying for their college education or whatever the case may be. He's just going off the chain. But I'm like, all of the rest of the people that have money that can really be pulled together, even if it wasn't just me, myself, and I, can we not ask some of these, our own entertainers and our own, and it's not just entertainers, because there's a lot of Black folk out there that make good money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's a lot of Black people out there that make good money.
Right.
And at the end of the day, where is our ability to bring these funds together so that we can VC our own businesses for our own people? What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's what we need. People like that makes good money, and not mentioning let's leave. Look, I like them. Like you said, I like Oprah. I like all those people. But there are some other people that have some money that we know nothing about. Because a lot of people want their name to be like the school. Hey, the school in Africa is doing well, but she's got the name recognition. Everybody's doing this, they got the name recognition. We need somebody that's not so concerned about their name being out there and to just come and do what's right. Come and let's build this bank. Put your money where your mouth is. And then that way, and then we can have more. If we do that and help each other, oh my God, we can build so many Black millionaires in a little bit of no time.
And that's the thing. If we come together, we can make more millionaires out of more people if we do the coming together versus everybody trying to go off on their own little thing and do
Right.
whatever stream they're going. And for whatever reason, I'm just even looking at this and I'm like, my goodness, this Black brother, number one, to come up with the software and the technology is just off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking, even this is Women's History Month. The person that made 3D for movies is a Black female. Mm-hmm. A Black female made 3D for movies. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, so we have the creativity, we just don't have the money. Why can't we get the people? And even with this brother, and he's come up with Kairos and he's coming to a battle with the board. Why didn't other Black folk with all kind of filthy money step up to the plate at the point in time that he found himself in a struggle against white oppression because they got the money? Why didn't we not see some of us come to the table and say, bam, let me put some money down on it?
Did they know?
That's the question, because he probably went to the white man.
Yeah,
because as most of us do, we feel white is right, and we not gonna trust our own. So the question, did they even know?
Now that I don't know, I'm going to venture to say when you get in certain levels with certain things, there's a lot of knowledge that you come into contact with, because people, when you get to certain levels and you start dealing with certain amounts of money and stuff like that, and just technology and information, there are people that's all they do. They'll get up first thing in the morning. They want to see the different papers that give them the information about what's on the stocks, what stocks doing what, who's doing this, what's the innovative technology that's out there. I'm going to say that more times than not, when you get to that level, a lot of knowledge is available to you. There's a lot of knowledge that you know about that we at the lower levels may not know about. So I have a hard time thinking that there were some people out there with money, big money, black folk, that didn't know that this brother had come up with this facial recognition technology and was about to break it out into the communities, and everybody's ignorant. I don't think so. Because I mean, that's
But
how
as
people
black
make money.
people, who do we think is going to get us to the next level? Another black person or a white person?
Okay, so
That's our mentality, whether we want to accept it or not.
Okay, that being said, do you agree with that, Rhonda, that you feel like we keep going to the white people and we don't trust our own, or don't tell or advise? Or
we will support a white business before we would support a black business, and if we do support a black business, we're gonna be 10 times much harder on them than we would be on a white person, a white run business.
Well, you have to speak for yourself on that, because that's not the case. That's not the case for me.
Again. Okay. Everybody's different, and right. I support black business, but I can guarantee a black business here where I live, there's a black beauty supply store that stays empty, but a block down from her is a Sally's, and every black person I know in this neighborhood is going to go to Sally's before they go to her.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, not individual, nothing personal to anybody, but as a community, and black business owners talk about it all the time. Black people will support a white business before they support a black business. And when they do support you go to a black restaurant, they didn't give me no napkins. They were lazy. The food was this, that, and the other, all that kind of stuff. We known for it, but we'll go to McDonald's and let them short us a chicken nugget and we'll be okay. Oh, they was just busy. The ice cream machine don't work this week. It ain't worked in months. I expect it. That's just that's our mentality, whether we like it or not. And not saying everybody, nothing personal, but we do have that to deal with.
There is some. Go ahead, Rhonda. I'm sorry.
No, you said it. You already said it. Some people. You've already said
some people.
There are some people, but not all of us.
And there is some element of mistrust that exists in the black community towards other black proprietors and entrepreneurs, because a lot of times people get burnt. But at the same time, I still have to say, we're going to have to keep having this conversation about how it is we can build and make something different. Because if I have raised 13 million and I just need whatever, that to me, that's a lot of money. If I need to get over the hump and I have to go the VC way, the venture capitalist way, then I have to say some of our VC, we need to start building up our own. And when you talk about at that level, now you start talking about chicken nuggets and all that's pittance. But when you start talking about VC is big money. You ain't getting no small money. And even as he said, more times than not, black businesses tend not to get VC backing, and almost no female black owned businesses get VC backing. So we still are really blocked out in that area. So y'all know y'all wrong for that. So in this sense,
I've been getting support all night, Mel. You late to the show.
But at some point, some way, somehow, we're going to have to create VC capital. That's really where I wanted to go tonight. And I'm not going to go a lot farther along with it, because at some point we're going to have to figure out, yes, we're talking about starting businesses, but even if we do something, I mean, do y'all understand facial recognition? That's huge. And as much money as he raised, that's huge, but he still couldn't get over the top. Then if we get our businesses to that same place and we don't have some VC out there amongst ourselves, we're going to find ourselves just like this brother and like the other people that are saying this is the same story that we have, where now anybody, I put the link in there so y'all can go out there and read it, because the question right now is, are black businesses going to continue to experience this at the hands of white VC, where we're going to get squeezed out of our own creations and left out there in the street for nothing?
Yeah, we're gonna have to come together, build our own.
Until we change something, that's gonna be our narrative.
Well, to make us aware, because at the end of the day, for all of us that have vision, for all of us that have witty inventions, for all of us that have ideas, I hope and pray that you're going to get to a point where you're going to need something above and beyond what you may be able to provide for yourself. But I also hope that we're going to have something out there that's going to be able to take y'all over the top without having to lose your businesses because you're getting squeezed out by white venture capitalists who are just basically operating in that same behavior of supremacy and racism to take from us what we've created. And we've always been creative. We've always been creative. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep on creating. We're going to keep on going to the top. But again, we got to keep the battle cry going. We must come together. We have got to come together. We've got to come together with our resources and money. We've got to come together with how we treat one another, stop the abuse. We've got to come together where we create wholesome environments where we can thrive. I'm tired of seeing somebody just barely make a little creep forward. We all need to thrive. And Rhonda said it, and I'm out. I'm going to let you all have your last words. But Rhonda said it, and that is, if we could get millionaires to come together so that we could make more and more millionaires, and we could multiply that multiplier factor that allows us, the more that we create and the more we give back and the more we expand our reach, we are just really giving ourselves that much more and more and more leverage to not just have a seat at the table, but build. It's our table. This is our table. And when I say our table, I'm not talking about squeezing out other ethnicities. I'm talking about where the Black community is healthy and wholesome and financially whole and stable, and we can take care of our own and come into another existence. That's just my idea. Tyrone, go ahead.
Well, all I'm going to say is, let's just continue to love each other, respect each other, support each other, because you'll be surprised how it really impacts a person. And, to all my sisters out there, support your Black men. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Tyrone.
Yes.
I love you, baby.
I just wanted to put that out there.
You made me lose what I was going to say.
Let me give you a little time to think about it. Tyrone.
Yes.
Black women support Black men.
Do they?
Yes.
Don't y'all get started.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I just think Mel said you had to blow it. You were doing so good, but you had to blow it. Mel, he can't help himself. He just can't help. There's something down inside of his shondo that just cannot leave well enough alone. It just can't.
Saying.
And listen, whatever that demon spirit is inside of you, you need to cast it out.
No, I was when we were talking about how we talk to our children, ladies, you have to be mindful how you talk to your men. Thank you. And that's all. That's it. That's all.
Okay. Tyrone, Jesus.
Tyrone. I want you to reach way down.
And I did.
And I want you to investigate what's at the core.
Nothing. All I said was, sister, support your Black brothers. That's it.
Mr. Reynolds, hush your mouth.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Okay. Come on,
yes, Rhonda, we just gonna move right on. We just gonna move right on.
Right. Okay.
I don't understand what the issue is.
Okay. Tyrone, you crazy, Tyrone. Look, we have got to come together. We have got to support each other. And I know we're wanting the millionaires to come together, but I also want us where we are to realize we have a part to play as well.
Yeah.
We need to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have pieces of land that our parents have. Don't always be so quick to sell it to get a quick buck. Let's hold on to the land. We've got some now that people just come and want to do. And I'm thinking, okay, what do they know that I don't know? Because you know what? They do know some things we don't know. Why are they wanting this land so badly? So we
Mhm.
need to hold on to our land. Don't be so quick to sell it because you want some quick money, because there could be something coming down the pipe. Like Virginia was telling about the man who sold it for 6 times what he paid for it. And
Absolutely.
now he's living off of it.
Yeah.
So we need to learn and get into, or get some knowledge about uh, finances, land, stock. Let's see how we can make ourselves become millionaires.
Mhm.
Let's not wait for someone to make us a millionaire. Let's see how we can make ourselves a millionaire.
Come on.
And then we can
Mhm.
build each other. And
Come
because
on.
I'm a millionaire, I'm not gonna look down on you. You know what? Now I'm gonna pull my sister on up where I'm at. And so
Or
Speak.
she can
brother.
become a millionaire. Or brother. It's just a figure of speech, Tyrone. But my brother or my sister. And we just keep on pulling each other up. Not
Mhm.
putting us down, not talking
Mhm.
about us, but we're always trying to wait for somebody else to make us something. But it's time for us to start making ourselves
Come on.
something. So I'm
Yeah.
going to be a millionaire. I know I'm going to be a millionaire, but I'm not waiting on no white man to do it for
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're going to have to learn how to do. What woody idea can I come up with? And that's what you do. You come up with something, and boy, you hit the right spot or the right ad, and you could be a millionaire overnight.
True.
You know,
True.
so we've got to figure out, okay, what can I do? And we're very creative. We can come
Yes.
up with things. What
Yes.
we're very creative. The little stuff, like he came up with that software or something. The games. The kids will come up with different ways to do games. All
Yes.
types of stuff. Of a certain brush that'll curl your hair. Anything
Right.
creative that you can get, and you get it out there, and people begin to buy it. You can be a millionaire overnight. That's what we need to start doing. Stop looking at any type of negativity, waiting on somebody to do it for us. We can do it ourselves. But when we get there, don't forget who we are and who helped us get there. We tend to look down on our people,
Come on.
and we forget them and don't want to help. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to bring each other up one by one,
Come on.
pull them on up. And that way we can have 12 millionaires in a year.
Absolutely. Now you talking my language. Now
Yeah,
you
we
talking
can
my
do
language.
this. Yeah,
We
we
can.
can do this.
We can.
Mhm.
And then sometimes even on my journey, I might be on the way to being one of the 12, but while I'm on my way, let me support you as I go.
See,
Mhm.
that's it.
And that's where I feel like so many things can be changed in just simple mindset types of things,
That's
very
it.
small. Just an idea of, I'm going to support you. Tyrone, I'm going to support you too. I have no isms or schisms with, I'm going to support everybody that I can. And that's always, really, that's been my whole life. I try to support as many people as I can. You got something going on, I'm going to come over here and lend a hand. What can I help you do?
Right.
So I think the more that we do that, and we talking. I'm not just trying to be, but where's the other 11? Where's the other 11?
Right.
And then let's get together and iron sharpens iron with the other
That's
11.
it.
Let's talk this
Hey,
thing. Let's walk
that's
this
it.
thing. Let's make
Hey,
this thing.
walk it
'Cause ain't
out.
nothing- walk it out.
Walk it
Just
out.
walk it
Okay.
out. You better walk it, girl. You better walk.
Walk it out.
You ain't walking, Tyrone. What's wrong with you? You
Yeah,
better
you
walk.
gotta walk it out.
I'm walking.
So this is the mindset we want to come to. And I'm going to say this, and I am out. You talked about sometimes we don't know what's going on, but having been in city government for several years, planning and zoning, and also economic development. Sometimes y'all just need to go up to City Hall and see what's on the horizon, because don't just think they jumped up today and started doing all this stuff in the city. And why are people coming and wanting certain properties and they want to buy it? Because they've been down to planning and zoning, and they've been down to economic development, and they know what's getting ready to come up. They want to buy it from you just to get the taxes off of your I'll sell it to you for nothing or whatever. And then they know they're going to turn right back around. There's a development that's coming down the pike. They're going to make a killing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting there looking like, if I had only knew. Do some research, get out there, check it out, see what's going on, what's getting ready going. Fort Smith is a whole different city than when I first started going to Fort Smith. And even when I go down, I love going where Rhonda is, because Rhonda, she starts taking me around. They getting ready to do this over here, they getting ready to do this over there. And then lo and behold, 5-10 years later, everything that she said they was going to do is done. But the planning on it was done back then. Sometimes we just need to get out and do some little legwork, do a little bit of legwork, and then let's make this happen. Let's make this happen, because we can do it. So there you have it. I'm gonna let you all have your final words, and then I'm out.
My final word is, ladies, support your black men. Think about it.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, where would you be without us? And vice versa.
Look,
And vice,
look. You
and
had
vice
my
versa.
okay. You had my amen. Stop while you're ahead.
And there you have it. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Yes You with Friends. We appreciate you for coming. We love you. I want you to have a good day. And as I always like to close out, we want you to have peace for your journey.